Welcome back. Hey everyone, I'm writing this post because my life is falling apart. Although, admittedly, I did play a part in it ending up where it is right now. I admit that the mistakes I've made have caused so much pain to someone I care about so deeply, and my husband has been hurt in the process as well. I want to share my perspective on the situation that's currently tearing my life and marriage apart. Back in 2020-2021, I started an online relationship with someone in a virtual world game. It began as harmless fun, but quickly escalated into something much more serious. The whole world was chaos, and we were in lockdown. My 32 female husband, 34, is a healthcare worker, so he came home sporadically. About once a month so he could keep me safe from the infection since I'm a high-risk individual due to a kidney disease. Even when he came home, he barely touched me, much less got within a few feet of me. So it was a trying period for me emotionally because I was left all alone. My resentment for my husband and his profession was growing, and I was restless because I had had no intimacy in over 8 months. But my husband brushed my concerns aside and said I was selfish for thinking about that when he was out there putting his life on the line to save others. It sounds horrible to even write it here, but I was selfish and beyond immature. However, like I said, I formed an online relationship which crossed lines that should never have been crossed, engaging in virtual sex and forming a deep emotional attachment. When the restrictions lifted temporarily, he flew out to see me, and we spent a few memorable days together in my home on my marital bed. I was wrong, and I regret every moment of it. When the world reopened and husband returned home, our relationship soured. I didn't have the courage to completely cut ties with him. Instead, I kept going back, hoping for something that should have never been. I allowed myself to be manipulated and threatened, fearing that the truth would come out. I rationalized my actions in the worst possible way, thinking that by keeping him on a leash, I could keep the secret hidden. Fast forward to the present, and the pain I've caused is finally out in the open. My husband discovered the chats, and the hurt in his eyes is something I'll never forget. I've seen firsthand how my actions have shattered his trust, and it's heart-wrenching. He wanted to know the details and said unless I put it all out there, there's no saving our marriage. I do not want to be a divorcee, so I came forward with everything, except for the part about meeting with the man physically. My husband has taken a few days to think and said he's willing to work things out. He's requested an open phone policy and location sharing and basically complete transparency about everything. What it boils down to is that I'm not allowed to have any privacy at all. He says his impression of me has shattered, and I have the option of either repairing it or not. He says it's completely up to me, and the only reason he says he's willing to give it a chance is because he was unavailable to me for so long. I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to justify or excuse what I've done. There's no justifiable reason for cheating or lying. The fact that I was even capable of such behavior disgusts me. But the fact I have to completely surrender my privacy and autonomy to my husband terrifies me. I realize that my husband's demands are justifiable from where he stands. But from where I stand, I don't feel it's completely fair. I've informed the man of the situation at home and my husband's demands. He's understandably upset about it. He says I've dangled a carrot in front of him and snatched it away. He says he wants something more and that I need to leave my husband. It's worth noting that he's engaged to his fiancée and they live together too. So where would that will even end? I've come to terms with the fact that our marriage may be irreparably broken. I've hurt the person I love more than anything in the world, and my marriage is falling apart, and my relationship with my husband is a mess. I'm overwhelmed with remorse and worry that my lover will inform my husband of the rest of the story. I'm not looking for sympathy or forgiveness. I simply needed to put my side of the story out there. Thank you for taking the time to listen, even though I don't deserve it. Update. I'm back with an update on the situation I shared earlier. Firstly, I want to express my gratitude for the understanding and thoughtful responses I received from many of you. I don't deserve your empathy, but I appreciate your willingness to listen and offer perspectives. Since my last post, things have taken a more complicated and painful turn. I received messages from the man I had an affair with through a new number, and they were the beginning of an ending that I had not anticipated. I had blocked him on all platforms after my husband found my chats and discovered my emotional affair, fearing he would discover the full extent. Like I said in my earlier post, husband insisted on a complete open phone policy for our marriage to move forward. And he had cloned my phone onto his, so when I received the incriminating messages, there was no hiding the fact. The man mentioned our past, including the time he came to visit me in person, which was something I hadn't disclosed to my husband. The messages came to light, and my husband discovered that I had slept with the other man on our marital bed. Understandably, my husband's reaction to the new revelations was intense. He confronted me about the messages and the fact that I had not disclosed everything as promised. He made me spill every little detail, every little thing we did, said, the positions, toys used. It was nauseating and I felt sick to my core, but there was no escaping my husband's wrath. The emotions were overwhelming, and in the midst of it all, he decided to leave the house, saying he needed to clear his head. I can't even begin to describe the pain and turmoil that this has caused. Our relationship is now hanging by a thread, and divorce seems imminent. The impact of my actions has gone beyond what I could have imagined. The person I've loved for years is now questioning everything we had, and I don't blame him. The hurt he's experiencing is entirely justified, and it's a pain I caused. I want to make it clear that I understand the gravity of my mistakes. There's no justification for the betrayal, the lies, and the pain I've inflicted on my husband. I deeply regret the choices I've made and the way I let my impulses blind me to the consequences. I have to live with the aftermath of my decisions, and it's a harsh reality to confront. The path forward is unclear, and more than anything right now, I want my husband to come back home. I do not know where he is, or what he's doing, or who he's with. I can't obviously ask his parents. I don't think they're aware of anything that's happened as of yet. I want to handle this matter as privately as possible. Once again, I want to thank those of you who took the time to read my story and respond with your thoughts. Please keep me in your prayers. Edit. So, I want to address the messages from my ex-affair partner, who's engaged and living with his fiancée. His demands and expectations are not only unrealistic, but also deeply unfair to all parties involved. I've made it abundantly clear to him that I cannot and will not pursue any further connection, but he's persistent. He's also not expressed any immediate interest in breaking off his engagement either. Final update. I'm back with what feels like the final update of this story I've shared with you. I want to start by expressing my heartfelt appreciation for your support and understanding throughout this difficult time. Your words have offered some solace amidst what's happening. Since my last update, the situation has escalated beyond anything I could have anticipated. My husband returned home. His demeanor was cold and distant. He didn't say a word, but began packing my bags and throwing everything I had around the house into a few duffel bags. I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't stop. Then he straight up told me to leave. And when I hesitated, he dropped a bomb. He said he would get my brother involved and kick me out if I didn't go on my own. And just like that, I had to leave my marital home with a few duffel bags in tow, and I became a couch surfer. But the drama didn't stop there. My husband spilled everything to his family, and it felt like my mess was on full display for everyone. From what I hear, he's full-on prepping for divorce. Amidst all the chaos, my husband's anger has spiraled out of control. He's constantly calling, hurling hurtful words, and calling me degrading slurs. The verbal abuse has become an unbearable part of my reality. He keeps threatening to keep his money to himself during the divorce, and the thought of having to support myself again made me sick several times. I've not held a full-time job for so long, and I just can't imagine going back to a 12-hour shift job. Financially, I'm in a precarious position. I don't have the means to hire a lawyer, and my husband's obviously no help on that front. My parents, too, have declined to support me in this legal battle, saying this is all my fault. So I might just have to take whatever scrap my husband tosses my way, no matter how messed up it is. Emotionally, I'm juggling this mix of guilt, anger, and sheer desperation. I'm torn between wanting to fix things and being furious about how extreme his response is. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I get a surprise call from the other man. Yeah, I unblocked him after I moved out. In a moment of desperation, I allowed him to see me again, and I made another questionable decision. I slept with him in exchange for some quick cash. In my defense, he just wouldn't leave my host's house until he got what he came for, and I was running low on savings. Now I do not know what to feel about myself. I feel disgust, like there's so many little bugs crawling over my skin. And I dread the next time he appears at my door. I'm learning the hard way that betraying trust has ripples that mess with more than just our relationships. So, as I try to navigate this mess, keep me in your thoughts, or not. This update's not about pity, but rather a reminder that what goes around comes around. Thanks for giving me a space to lay it all out, even when it's a hot mess. Comments. I'm not buying this whole woe is me saga. You talk about accountability, but then you keep making one reckless decision after another. You cheated, lied, and now you're shocked that your husband's ticked off? You're grasping for sympathy, but let's be real here. Your actions caused this mess. It's time to stop playing the victim and start facing the consequences you brought upon yourself. Life has its ups and downs, but you've been through a real whirlwind. Keep your head up, OP, and remember that even in the messiest situations, there's a way to find some kind of resolution. Stay strong.